Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm your host, Christopher, and I'm a 17-year-old graphic design student from Austria. And today I'm really good in light because it's actually day and not at night while I'm recording this. And I'll try today to get, especially for the podcast, the audio a little bit better. I've just watched the video so that, the quality gets better and better and better on this platform, on this format. And as you might see, the camera is on another side than usually because of the light. But anyways, we are going to talk about the same thing as yesterday, and I hope, by the way, if you want to translate something, use the deepl.com website. It's just gorgeous. It's really good. It's the best translator I've ever used, and it's tremendously correct. Translates everything from English to German at least, and there are a few other languages, and it's just I think it's because of it uses deep learning, which I think, I'm not a pro in this area, is some kind of AI, some kind of AI. Yes, so if you have something to translate, use the DeepL, it's DEEPL.com website. But nevertheless, we are going to talk about, or head on the Money Master, the game summary from Tony Robbins, actually. And for this, I think we've stopped at the sixth point, or the seventh. I think the seventh one. So the myth 7 is annuities are bad. Conventional wisdom will tell you that annuities, which is ANNUITIES, maybe I've pronounced it wrong, therefore I spell it, as an investment class are overpriced and a bad investment. While this is true in general, largely due to exorbitant fees that are even worse than mutual funds, it would be unwise to paint this entire investment class with the same brush. At least one type of annuity, the tax-free fixed indexed annuity, is an invaluable investment tool. We'll revisit that soon as well. Side note, if you already own a bad investment like a variable rate annuity, ask your advisor about using a feature called 1035 exchange to switch it for a good annuity without having to pay taxes. Myth 8, and I think in general, in terms of investment and all this stuff, it can really depend on where you're living and in terms of laws. So for example, the 1035 exchange trick I just mentioned might not be available, let's say available for now, in your country. So yeah, myth 8, you have to take big risk to get big returns. I've read this a ton of times, and I'm very, very curious to see if that's really true. Let's see. One of the most important rules of investing is to risk a little for the potential to make a lot. Some easy ways for the individual to do this are structured notes, market-linked CDs, and fixed index annuities, which all share the common feature of protecting your investment principal but also giving you access to upside potential if the market moves the right way. Okay, so there's always and will always be some kind of risk if you want some kind of return. But yeah, the last episode we talked about, or he mentioned, that there is some kind of investment where your risk behavior changes with your age. So, if you're pretty young, the risk will be higher and therefore the return will be bigger. And the older you get, the less riskier your investments get. I do not know the detailed things, but yeah. The ninth myth and the last myth, I guess, and then there's only the article. Yes, I'll have to read through for you. Is success is determined by something beyond our control. We take a detour here for some more classic Tony Robbins psychology applied to money. A change in mindset is necessary to succeed. With these myths busted, you don't have any excuse not to turn around your financial life for the better. And at my point of view, mindset is a really, really important thing. Because, you know, if you just think the same way, you can't expect something to get better or something get different. And it's with everything like this, I guess. You know, if you're just doing the same shit over and over again, which I've spoken just a lot about, then you won't get something different if you're just doing the same thing all the time. It wouldn't make any sense for me. Unless it's some kind of, you know, you're going over the street like always and you get into an accident or something, which I hope you do not. Let's knock the wood for that. Do you have some kind of tradition in your country? This would be very interesting for me. So if we just talk about something that's not really wishable, we just hit the wood or some kind of wood, if it's, you know, my table or the floor or but usually the table. You know, we wish us luck and not that to be happen, if that makes sense. I hope. But let's see what Tony talks about in section 3. What's the price of your dreams? Make the game winnable. The book continues with the condition that no one actually wants money. Rather, we all want money. Rather, we all want what money can provide, and that's totally true. Precisely what is thought or sought is different for everyone, but it all falls under the six basic human needs of certainty, comfort, uncertainty, verity, significance, love, connection, growth, and contribution. Though money is an essential part of our lives, by knowing what it is that you're really after, you'll have better clarity about how to get where you want to go. And it reminds me of something Gary Vee was talking about, which I really, really liked, and I really picked out, which is chasing money isn't bad. You know, you can chase money. He doesn't care, and I do not care. But the thing is, the fastest way to not get it is only chasing money, and that's something I was some kind of thinking about. Not very long, but it's true. Because I think if you're just really into chasing money, that's okay. But chasing money through helping people, and therefore the more people you help, the more money you get, which means that you will help more people. This is some kind of endless wheel or endless way, because you just help people, help people, help people, help people, and for each of everyone, you get some kind of return. And this will also always be the same. Not like you're just going or you're just chasing money, but you're working with people, which means that maybe they don't get what they want, and so there's either no word of mouth, or they're just pissed and will not come again, as it would be if you was just like helping people. Then they would eventually return. There would be a chance, but if you just fuck about them, there is not a really good chance. If you get what I mean, I hope. Yeah, once you know where you want to go, you can calculate a precise number, which will probably turn out to be less than you think. For example, if one of your wider dreams is to buy your own private jet, it will cost you about 65 million, plus fuel, maintenance, crew wages, etc. Instead, you could just charter someone else's private jet. It will cost you about 5,000 an hour to rent the same jet, or 500,000 per year if you set it, if you use it for 100 hours. Even with a seemingly unreasonable goal like a private jet, you can often get what you want for a fraction of the money you thought you would need. Define what you want from the money rather than the money itself, and you realize that your own goals are more achievable than you thought. And Tony Robbins, maybe I can. He has actually his own jet, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, you can see this. Even with this logo on, this wing there, you can see it. It's a really nice one. For the podcast listeners, it's a blue, silver, some kind of cream colored jet with golden or brownish elements to it, with this TR, so Tony Robbins logo on the really back of the wing, and it seems to be pretty big one. Some kind. It's a N850 TR or N850 TR. I guess this is, or it's the Bombardier BD700-1A10. It might be true, I don't know. Just seeing a picture of it. Yes, just look it up, your own, then you can be sure. To do even better at defining what you want from money, Tony suggests you establish and calculate a series of 5 goals. By having different levels of financial success to aim for, your goals will become significantly more achievable and motivating. For more on this, read my review of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the manifesto on priming yourself to become rich. I've read it, I went through the half of it, and I just then was like, at this point of time in my life, I wanted really practical advice, and this is just mindset. Really just mindset and theoretical kind of stuff. Not like, how to win friends and influence people, where there are actually tips you can use in your real life, by, talking with people and so on. So everything with people occasionally. And it's really hard to read, especially for someone whose mother tongue isn't English, because it's just some kind of old style English, which is pretty hard for me to understand. But let's see what the first point of this third section is, which is financial security. If you can save enough so that the monthly returns on your investment portfolio will pay for your monthly housing, food, utilities, transportation, and insurance, you have covered 65% of the average American's monthly costs. If you hit this mark, you can choose a job you love instead of the high-paying one you hate. You could launch the startup you have been dreaming about, or take any number of risks that you want to take, but couldn't because you didn't have enough in the bank to feel safe taking them. It's just very interesting for me, because through this article I get to know that Tony is a really good investor, which I didn't assume, because I thought, he makes a lot of money with his speeches and with his businesses, but I couldn't think of, him investing. Maybe it's dumb to say this, but I couldn't think of it. Some kind of, there's just some kind of barrier, I don't know. The second one, the financial vitality. If you can also save enough to cover half of your monthly clothing, entertainment, and small luxury costs, golf, dues, manicures, etc., whatever makes you happy, you've reached the halfway point through truly never having to work again. To save enough money to cover half of your monthly, unnecessary expenses, I would say. The third one, the financial independence. So it's some kind of, I see. It's, these are stages. The first one was, you can live without risks. The second one is you have some kind of luxury in your life. And the third one is financial independence at the rest of your necessary living expenses, which shouldn't be too much more, and you have what you need to never have to work again. Then there is financial freedom, which is the fourth point, add the monthly payment for 2 or 3 significant luxuries, boat, vacation, home, exotic cars, etc. to your number. Ah, now I get it. It's actually a list for you on how to see or how to calculate what you actually need, or how much money you will need to, get this number you really want to achieve and have everything you want. Absolute financial freedom. Now dream big. What do you need? Things, experiences, not their dollar values, to have everything you want. This is where you find your limits, and they might surprise you. If you're honest with yourself, there is no way that something ridiculous like a private skyscraper coated in gold is something you actually want. There is no way that it would give you enough happiness to be worth the time it would take to actually get it, or other things that an equivalent amount of money could get you. It would also probably be less fulfilling than you think it would, especially if you already have all kinds of other luxuries. On top of that, you would probably feel a bit guilty using $1 billion for something along those lines, when that amount of money could feed 100 million hungry children for a year. Remember, the goal is to achieve what you actually want from money, not the money itself. If you actually sit down and calculate the number, you will probably realize that it's a lot less than what you thought, probably around 500,000 to 5 million of annual income. That might never be within reach, but once you know the upper limit of what you want, you will realize how happy you can be just by getting close. Sorry, but I'm interested what 123 through 12. This would be, so 5 million per year would be 416,000.66666 dollars a year, and 500,000 divided by 12 would be 31.66666. So it's a lot, but then you can really see where your goal is. Just being like, I want a private jet is a little bit, as he already said, a little bit too widely spread. There's multiple ways of achieving that, and there's multiple private jets. So it's not very specific. Now that you have taken the time to write down what would actually make you happy, you can revisit some life choices that you made on autopilot, thinking you wanted them, only to realize that they aren't really making you happy enough to justify their cost. The act of going through the exercise, together with the motivation provided by the 5 concrete goals listed above, may help you save more, earn more, reduce fees and taxes, get better returns, or change your lifestyle in other ways. By moving to a cheaper geographic location, for example. And Gary Vee all the time says, or actually in his, I think it was his latest podcast episode, or it was some kind of a mashup of different videos or conferences he was at, and there were some people, and he asked them who had their own home. So they just, bought their own home or house. I think actually house. And I don't know. I just listened to the podcast, so I can't say how many had their own house. But the thing is, some raised their hands, and then he said that all of them should really sell their house and move to a really cheap apartment. Rent this so they can save a lot of money. And he said that because he said that most of the people only use about 50% of their whole home. And this reminded me on my grandma, because she now has a house with a few rooms she doesn't really use. But the thing is, in her situation, she was at that time, they built the home because they had 4 kids or 5 kids, and so they just needed the space. But now it's just quite unnecessary. But let's see. Section 4. Make the most important investment decision of your life. In a world where most important investment decisions is allocation, Tony goes through a long list of the characteristics of different investment options, but since they are rapidly available elsewhere, I'll gloss over this portion of the book. Tony advocates a division of your assets into security, risk and growth, and dream buckets to provide a balance of asset protection, asset growth, and emotional juice to keep you going. So there should be several buckets, one for security, risk and growth, and a dream bucket, which I would assume is the first one. Security will probably be, things or money you save. The risk and growth is money you will be investing, and dream buckets is some kind of money you just save as the security one, but you then can use to buy the things you really want to have, without feeling guilty because of spending this money. Yeah, it's also something I've heard from another motivational speaker, which is Bodo Schäfer. I talked once about in an episode, but he's a German motivational speaker, and he has, I think, just a few businesses. He's a millionaire, but he was poor occasionally, and yeah, but he was just speaking about the same. You have different buckets, one for investments, one for saving things, and one for your dreams. Actually, I think they're actually the same, if I remember correctly. But let's see, and I think this will actually be the last point. The thing is, I'll stop here because there's only point 5, and point 5 is really long. I do not really want to have it, cut up between some episodes. So thank you very much for listening. If there are any questions or anything you want to tell me, just write it down in the comments, and or any social media platform or platform you like where I'm on, and all these links are down in the description. Either you are on the YouTube video or you are on the podcast. All these informations are in the description. And for now, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you the next time. See you soon.